How you been, man?
Good.
Good. Thanks for
man.
being here.
Dude, I'm stoked to be here. It's crazy.
Yeah, the studio has definitely changed so much, and it looks like I dreamed. It's just awesome.
Like knowing where you wanted to be when we first met and seeing you kind of like progress through that stuff, like it's a big deal.
Yeah,
Awesome.
no kidding. You know, we got to talk about some impressive stuff today, though, and it's about you. But before we get into that, let's tell the listeners who you are.
Sweet.
Who are you?
My name's Bill.
Yeah.
So I'm Bill Farmer.
Hi, Bill.
And I've been sober for now. So I work for a local sheriff's department. I'm a sergeant there now. I've been doing this for about 15 years. I've worked in patrol, director of patrol, which is like a plainclothes capacity. I worked in the criminal investigations division, working in the violent crimes investigation realm, and then as a school resource officer.
Okay.
Did that for about 5 years. Went from there back to patrol, promoted, and now I'm back working with the school resource officers again.
Right on, as their supervisor, huh?
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on the promotion. I know that's a big deal. Not everybody gets that. You got to do testing, and you got to take care of your career from the beginning. You start a reputation on day one, and that really comes up later on. So, before you became a member or in law enforcement, before you joined law enforcement, tell us about like your background. Like, how did you end up in that role? What happened? Did you go to any schooling? Anything you can kind of cover on that?
So, like the sheriff's department for me was like I was always into cars as a kid. Like growing up, I was into cars, and I was into guns when I was a kid too, and shooting and hunting and that kind of stuff. I ended up going to college, and I was going to school for business administration, not really knowing what to do, not really knowing like a real direction or a path for where I wanted to end up. And I was working full time at the time too. I was working at Fry's.
Okay.
So I was like, I did everything there from like the bagging groceries when I was 16 years old. I became a cashier. I worked on like the overnight crew stocking shelves, the day crew stocking shelves, that kind of stuff. And I knew that wasn't where I wanted to be. But going to college, I really wasn't sure. Like I said, I didn't have my path. I knew a guy that worked for the sheriff's department, like one of the best humans I've ever known, and just talked to him every time he'd come into the store, and every now and then he'd give me like a little morsel, and was like, "Oh, that sounds really cool." And I was really fortunate, back then, you'd go to our testing sites and on the testing dates, and you'd be up against a bunch of people. It used to be you'd compete against 1,000 people for that job, and you'd hear stories from guys at those sessions about how this is my second, third try. And I was just lucky, man. I was lucky I made it through the first time, and like went to the academy, like ended up here, just kind of tripping and falling through this career. Yeah.
So I can relate to you on the business administration thing. So like right when when I got out of high school, I was like, oh, I'm gonna be a businessman. I was like just a businessman. Didn't know what business I was gonna put together or anything like that. So I actually started in college taking classes regarding that. But I soon changed to like criminal justice classes because I was like, hey, that stuff's pretty cool too. And I've changed my classes multiple times. I've got so many different credits. I've probably just wasted a lot of money just all over the place.
Well,
but
it's like, what do you want to do? I want to work in the business. Well, I want to be a businessman. What business? The business,
Yeah.
But it's the way things go now, where they just kind of push kids through this assembly line into college, and you're like, oh. I knew when I was growing up, when I was graduating high school, everyone wanted to be an engineer.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, I'm going to be an engineer. And everyone wanted to work at, the big missile makers or that sort of stuff. And I was like, man, there's too much competition in that. And I'm a dumb guy. Like math and science aren't for me. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But,
well, it's still competitive, though. You're talking about it, that, the testing process, you have, you go to the first initial like written tests and stuff, and you're looking at 1,000 people, not more, that are trying to get the same job that you're trying to get, and there's only a certain amount of spots.
Yeah.
Like it's not like everybody there is guaranteed, and it might not even be 100 spots. It might be less than that. So you have to break through those barriers to get to each step. Just next process elimination process, like surviving. Like, I got to get to the next one, got to get to the next one, got to get to the next one. So that's challenging in its own. And I really don't think that people realize how hard it is to become a law enforcement officer.
No, and like to your point, like those difficulties, like that struggle only gets you into the academy.
And that's different beast itself, right?
That's what's first, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people figure out in the academy, like, hey, this ain't for me. Or maybe they want it to be for them, but through a demonstration, like a lack of performance or something like that, or whatever else comes up in the academy, like you're eliminated that way. So you could start an academy class with 42 people and graduate 27, and there's a handful of people that are left in my agency from the group that I went to the academy with. There's very few of us left.
Wow.
Through natural attrition, through going to other agencies, or just finding a different career path, finding something different for themselves.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's wacky. It's competitive, and then like the academy itself is a difficult process.
Yeah. How many weeks is it?
40 some odd weeks. Yeah.
That's a long time. That's months.
Yeah, and that's so you have your basic academy, and then you have your advanced basic after that, and basically like the basic academy, that just gets you your Arizona Post certification. That's from Arizona Peace Officer Standardized Training Board. It says, hey, you can go be a police officer. The post basic is what says, like, hey, this is how our department does it. And then after post basic, you go to field training, and field training is kind of where you really get to take all of those different little pieces, kind of put them all together. You're in a car with somebody who has time on, in most cases, and then you learn how to kind of put the practices into play.
Okay. Man, that's a lot. It really is. I was excited when you wrote me and told me you wanted to be on the podcast. We're good friends, but there's a whole nother element to your job that you have put together and that you have taught to. Probably you've got to be in the thousands now, right?
It's somewhere it's over 1,000 people that
have been through your program. So your program is 4 schools. And I don't know. Are you doing private entities too? Do they come through, or like private?
We have private schools and some churches and folks like that. But basically, the principle there is that anybody who's got charge over our young kids, over our young people, like we want to give you some tools to be able to successfully navigate bad stuff.
Yeah, and the stuff you're talking about is the unfortunate scenario that you hope nobody comes across, and that's an active shooter.
Yeah,
right?
we active shooter, active killer, mass casualty events, whatever people want to call them. Yeah.
So can you kind of run us through your program, how it started, why it started, and talk about where it's at right now, like status wise?
So it started with me and a couple of other school resource officers around my kitchen table. and Sam, one of the guys,
yeah, for sure,
that now he abandoned us and went to Texas, and raising a girls basketball team there.
Yeah,
just all the kids he's got.
Yeah, he got frozen in though on that in that storm. I talked to him.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, are you doing okay, dude? He's like, yeah, we're good. It's like 40 degrees in my house, but we're all right.
I don't think he owns a coat. Like, that's a problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we were around the table, and we talk about this topic all the time, and we were already in the practice of, when one of these events unfolded, taking the pieces of them and breaking them down, not to trample on the graves of people who'd been victimized by it, but to be able to see what kind of lessons learned existed, and what we could do differently.
Yeah.
And that applies on both ends, right? Like the law enforcement end, as well as like the person at the grocery store, the teacher who's standing at the front of the classroom, and trying to take those individual pieces, put them together, so that there is a more successful, less tragic result. And basically, what we came up with was a preparedness workshop for schools. It started with a week the first year. And then like we had some success there, as you well know. And then, we went to 3 weeks, did that a couple of years, and then COVID hit. We didn't do them for a year. And then now like this year we're back full swing.
Yeah.
But the idea, the concept started with just us talking about that initial response from school folks. Based it off of the run, hide, fight model provided by Homeland Security, which is interesting because that creates a whole nother controversy all its own, because you have a lot of people in the private world who go around and solicit their services to schools that say, oh, run, hide, fight's not for schools. And it's, well, if you look at what Homeland Security says about that model and what they did, it's geared towards surviving the incident, right, and being fluid and adaptable to the things that happened throughout the course of that. But we took that model, and like we took it and basically tried to accommodate all the learning styles, right? So like the visual learner, we're standing there killing people with PowerPoint. We're talking about it, so you get your auditory learners, and then the kinesthetic learners. After their lunch break, they come back and we put them through scenario-based training with volunteer role players who are our kids from our schools. We use blank ammunition and that sort of stuff to elicit some of the stress responses and inoculate people to a level of stress. You have a couple of different things that happen with that, right? Like they get the opportunity to hear what a gunshot sounds like from a shotgun, what a gunshot from a rifle sounds like. If they've never heard it before, well, now they have that. And then also that stress response, that stress inoculation, the first time that they are indoctrinated to that level of stress isn't while they're actually in theater. What I mean is the first time that they're experiencing that level of stress isn't when it's actually happening. It's in the training arena, where we get to model that response and help them navigate successfely. Yeah. So, and it's been cool. It's gotten some national recognition. It's gotten some state recognition.
As it should. I mean, and I was fortunate enough to be part of some of that and see it in action. And when you're talking about the stress and when they're actually experiencing the stress, like, if you're listening to this, it's legitimate stress. Like, they're using blank rounds. They're going off in the background while the people are going through the scenarios, and seeing the different reactions from everybody, because you have various reactions in your preparedness workshop, right? And they are what?
As far as what?
Like when people they run.
Yeah. So you run, you hide, you fight,
right? And you would see those different things happen. Like some people, you would be shocked that one of those happened, like a certain one. You'd see some that you would never think would fight, and you would see them just going right after the person trying to tackle them. And then some you would see that you would think wouldn't run, and they've run.
I won't use any names. I won't none of that. But a lady that I worked with in the school environment, who's very kind and bubbly and friendly. Literally yesterday, I watched her go through a scenario where she's walking some kids down a hallway, and a gunman walks around the corner, and you saw there's 3 R's. So full disclosure, I steal this from Marcus Luttrell. I heard him say this, the 3 R's. You receive information, you reflect on training and experience, and you react to what you're provided. She stopped what she was doing. This is after having gone through one scenario and freezing a little bit and then responding. So she goes through this one. Gunman walks around the corner. You see her kind of I'm like, hey, she's intaking data right now. You see her make the decision to act. She grabs the rifle and knees my role player, like right in the junk, like jingle his bells all the way.
I mean, it sucks for him, the role player, but
hey, you know what?
Man.
Like that's good training. That's what it's there for.
That's how you save lives.
Yeah. And like what's crazy is the next time if she's ever put in that situation again, that response will be even better because she's been through this training before.
Yeah.
And it'll happen quicker. She'll get to that point quicker than this last time. But it is cool. It's cool to see people that you look at in the teaching environment, and these aren't killers, right? Like these aren't gunfighters. What you're talking about are people who are invested in kids' lives every day. And you see them almost take that mama bear instinct and like really like dominate their environments and take ownership of their kids, and it's really cool, man. It's like it's motivating to me.
Yeah.
Seeing that from lay people.
Yeah. It's crazy. I remember seeing, teachers or staff, like you would see like the role player kids, realize something bad's happening too, but you would see like the staff like try to create a shield, even just like I don't care about what's gonna happen to me. I got this, guys. Go. Like it's just,
I'm going first.
Yeah. It's really incredible. It really is. So I thank you for doing that for the community. I think that's just huge, and I imagine it's going to keep growing and the recognition is going to keep coming because it's just an incredible program.
Well, I love it, man. And honestly, I guess it's born from some pretty selfish reasons, right? Like it's, I was a first responder to a mass casualty incident locally. Lots of hurt people, lots of dead people. And it was like, how do you unpack this? Like, what do you do with this? Like, you experience this trauma, and like it affected me. And we talk about that in the workshops too, about like if it affects somebody who's been trained to handle chaos and mayhem, what should we expect from people who aren't trained for it? So when it affected me the way that it did, there's a couple different ways that goes, right? Like it can, like my response to that trauma can be super unhealthy, or you can go a different route and go, hey, like this thing happened. My response to it is going to be, I'm going to better prepare my community so that we're never hurt as badly again as we were that day. Yeah. And yeah, so like, people say thank you, and it's like, oh, like I get the benefit from it too. Like it's a part of, that's a part of my rehabilitation through trauma, is seeing people have a better response to these sorts of things. Yeah. So, yeah, I love it, man. It's cool.
Well, I'm glad you went that path, because it's changing lives. Every single person walks through the door of that training, and the event that you were part of, we're not going to get into it on here, and we'll leave that for people that have the pleasure of going through your workshop to get more details about that. Because I remember you going really in depth on what happened and talking about there were some heroes that day too, so we'll leave that for people that get the opportunity to go into your workshop on that.
Sure.
Who were your biggest influences when you were younger for you to become the man you are today?
Well, so when you say like when you were younger, like I still,
we can go all the way.
I still haven't grown up, so like
my bad.
I'm still on that path.
There's mentors every day.
I take different influences from a lot of people, and like I've had a lot of people along my path that have invested in me. A lot of people from my law enforcement world, and then like a counselor from when I was a kid, a teacher from when I was a kid, and it's not like one person that's like, come here, son, like let me show you the way, right? It's like you might get a morsel here or a morsel there, because I hear people all the time talk about, oh, like my coach, he was like, well, I had coaches too, but I had coaches that were jackasses that like like he might have not been a great person to me like outside of the weight room or off the field, but like on the field and in the weight room, like he motivated me to perform better there. And so like those like individual pieces, I think, as one of the things, you know, when I talk to some of my mentors along the law enforcement path, I try to stay in that place of being grateful that, hey, like I am what I am today because you saw fit to invest in me. And likewise, you know, like with people like with you, like with Sam, like with Danielson, who you've had on here, like the little bits and pieces I get from people that motivate me every day. Like one of the motivations I can pull away from you is that you had a thing that you wanted to do, right? You started the path to get there, and we're sitting here today.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like to find people who are motivated to actually pursue the things that they're passionate about, it's a rare thing.
Yeah.
It's a rare thing. So like I said, I think you draw influences from all kinds of people that are motivational and inspirational.
Yeah, I would totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, long list in my life.
Yeah.
And I still come across people that they don't even realize it. Might be the first time we meet. You might say something or show me something, and I go, wow, like you just opened my eyes, and I'm gonna take from that. Like that's gonna make me better, the people around me better, and yeah, you should always surround yourself with people that are motivated and going after what they want and positive. It's so important. And you know, we get around people that they'll bitch and moan about stuff going on in their life, and I often go, well, who are you around? Let's start there. Like we'll get to you. You obviously we got to take care of you, but who are you around and what's around you? And it's not hard to take a step back and look and go, okay, what am I doing? Who am I with? And you'll see it quick.
Yeah.
And if you're around negativity all day, you're around people that are cancerous, it is not a fun path. It'll bog you down, and it'll make you kind of fit into that mold. So I always try to encourage people to just surround yourself with people that are like what you're talking about. And you don't have to be with them all the time, but just take those good pieces of stuff they're giving you.
Being around happy people all the time is super exhausting too.
Yeah, there's some people.
What
you're
goes
like,
wrong for you? But
calm down. Yeah. You can't be like that all the time.
Yeah, great. Everything's going well for you in utopia. Like I'm out here on my island. Yeah, like to your point, like it's easy to find people who complain.
Yeah,
it's easy to find people who like get so bogged down in their own garbage. Like it's all well and good, but unless you're taking steps, they don't have to be big ones, right? But unless you're taking the steps to change that, like if you're doing nothing to improve that situation, then I think you lose the right to complain about it.
Yeah.
Like it goes that way, like organizationally in a business. If you see something going wrong, you see your business is headed towards a landfall. Like if you don't raise the alarm that you're headed for disaster, you contributed to the downfall of this thing. If you see a problem, you have a problem in your life, you do nothing to fix it, like you're now partly responsible for how bad you do feel. So
yeah, personal accountability is becoming something that people really don't want to deal with for
whatever
reason. I don't know why.
No,
they really just take it out on other people.
But when you talk about some of the adversity towards law enforcement, not adversity, but some of the negative things that get attributed towards law enforcement nowadays, I think that's one of the things that you're talking about is like people don't want to be accountable for what they do. And so like someone else has to be to blame for it. Like it's not my fault.
It's easy to blame.
Oh yeah. Like I robbed the bank because this person made it hard for me to get a job. Well, no, you robbed a bank because you decided to get a gun and go rob a bank. Like that's on you.
Yeah.
And you can't be mad at me, the person who investigates it, and like it's not my fault that you're going to jail for it. Like you chose this thing. This is a direct negative reaction as a result of the choice you made.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a whole nother road.
Crazy, just that's a slippery slope, man. Even getting into that, and it's just things will things will change. Things will look up. It always does. It's like a pendulum.
It is.
It's just like in just life. Good days, bad days, good times, bad times. But
you're 100% right. And, I think like when we talk about people who might have a negative opinion about law enforcement, hopefully like this is the positive spin on that.
Yeah.
Is that that's a silent, there's a very silent minority of people, or a majority of people that do appreciate us.
Yeah.
And it's like in the little things here and there every day, like, hey, thanks for your service. Like, hey, like that's a win. Like we'll take that one,
Yeah. Yeah. So when I was younger, I was in a situation, I think it was about 19 or 20. And I was at a house, hanging out with some family members and their friends. And we were all about the same age. I mean, you can imagine what we were probably doing. But
Bible study.
I unfortunately experienced a shooting where they kicked the door down and they just started shooting people in the house. And I was running through the hallway, bullets flying, saw people get hit. And the local sheriff's department you work for is the ones that came. And I remember, like, I just was so thankful when they showed up, because there was just like this time from when it started to, I'm like my heart rate's racing thinking about it. Like for me getting out from the room where I was in to the front yard, I don't know why, but I ran. Once I heard the gunfire stop, I ran back out towards where it was. And I think I was just trying to check on people, like, because I was on the phone. I was with 911 at the time, and I'm like running out there while I'm on the phone, and I ran outside. And I think I was trying to like either just see if I can see license plates or something. But then they showed up. One of the sheriff's deputies showed up, and I was like, oh my God, thank God.
Dude.
But yeah, it's, people have a negative perspective until when you're in a situation like that and you don't have anything else to go to. Like, there's people that end up helpless and they need the help of law enforcement or EMTs. They need it. There's no other option. So if you're listening, that's a story I went through, and that really changed a lot of perspective for me.
That's wild, man.
Up. Yeah. So yeah, it was wild. It sucked. I think 4 people were hit. No one died though, which was insane.
That's crazy.
One of the guys, he was shot. He got hit 5 times and lived.
Yeah.
I was like,
that's
whoa.
One of the things, like, it's one of the things we try to speak to in our workshops, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, just because you get hurt really badly doesn't mean you're gonna perish.
He was joking about it. I remember he's sitting on the floor, holding his wounds, and he's like, what did he say? Oh, he's like, I feel like Scarface or something is what he said.
That guy gets a second man card.
I was like, holy cow, he's got blood coming out of his head. He's got
minutes
shot
after
in the arm. He's like, I feel like Scarface or something. So, yeah, we nicknamed him 50.
Minutes after your shot, you're making jokes about it. Like, you get a second man card.
Yeah.
You get to carry 2 of them now. Like,
yeah.
Stud.
So, yeah, just a little insight of something I went through.
Yeah.
Yeah. Getting to where you're at, nothing's handed to us, to you. There's things you got to go through. There's challenges that come up. Are there any particular failures you've gone through that have really helped you and made you more driven to be where you're at today?
Yes.
Anyone
100%.
In particular where you're like, man, this thing happened and it really fired me up to do what I'm doing?
Yeah. So, like, I'm a sergeant now, but it took me 3 times to test to make it there, right? Like, I had experienced failure a couple times first. And the first time I put some time into studying, and like, I was, because like it's a process to promote. Number one, you have to have the experiences. So I like to think you have to have the experiences. You have to have the know-how of how to do the job of the people that you're going to supervise. So you have to have experience, and then the first step is a written test, and that thing's not easy. It draws off of so many different pieces of literature. Like, there's grammar in there. There's policy procedure for your specific agency. There's policy and procedure for either your municipality or your county. There's questions in there off of like merit system rules for law enforcement and for non-law enforcement. It's just such a wide pool for them to be able to pull from. So there's a written test, and then in the particular process that I last came off of, you have 2 different oral boards where you go in front of people who outrank you, and they ask you questions. In this last one, there was one where it was like operational. So it's like scenario based, like, hey, you're here at this time, and this crazy thing unfolds. What do you do? And so you work through that, you work the problem, and then there's another one that's based off of leadership, and you basically respond to different circumstances and talk about your leadership examples and some of the leadership styles you've observed and what your personal leadership style or principles based off of. And then they go to executive review, and they had like administrative skills assessment as well, where it was like you have to take a situation that unfolds and figure out what sort of discipline or other administrative tasks like paperwork needs to be completed for that thing. And then they also wanted a sample of your writing. So it was kind of serendipitous that the sample of writing they wanted from me was a essay about civilian response to active shooter events. And it was like,
oh, okay,
finally, like a gift.
I got this.
That was the third time I've been through it though. And the first time I went through it, I studied, but it wasn't like I sold out to the process. I was the very last person after the written test. And then by the time everything else was said and done, I moved up to like number 27. And then the second time I tested, I had a big chip on my shoulder. I was like, I'm not going to study at all. I'm going to come in and crush your test. And then, you're going to have to promote me. Well, I didn't even score high enough on the test to move through the process. So I was like, well, like back to the table.
Reality.
So it was about that time I started to really explore podcasts and started listening to people and listening to some stuff about leadership and that kind of thing. And, a concept I grabbed a hold of was if you want a thing, like if you really want it, then you better be willing to put the time and the effort into the thing that it deserves.
Absolutely. And
so this last go around, I just sold out to the process, and it was night and day studying. It was night and day learning policy in and out and that sort of stuff. And it worked out for me. But I had to have those couple failures first, had to experience those first. And again, in my career, like I've experienced failures in leadership that have been like detrimental to my career. So much so, like at one point, like this is a little known fact, I actually left my agency early on because of a failure of leadership. That I was just, if this is what cop work's about, I'm out, man. Like I want no part of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's been a wild ride.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, you made it though. You did it, and you took those failures and you turned it. You flipped it. You learned from them. You persevered. Yeah.
One of my biggest mentors in this department when I was in the academy, he had a part to play in my supervision. And one of the things I heard from him often was adversity introduces you to yourself. When you encounter struggle, like you're going to learn what you're made of. You're going to learn what your default is. You're going to crumble, you're going to buckle, you're going to rise to the occasion.
Adversity introduces you to yourself.
Yes.
I love that.
It's brutal. It is a brutal reality.
Oh, that's wow.
Yeah. And that's stuck with me. And I bring that up when I see him sometimes, like we'll talk about it. And I've said that to him. I've said that in forums where he's been a part of it. And he's like, I've heard that before. I'm like, yes, sir, you have. Like,
yeah. That's deep. That's good.
It's good, man.
Stop thinking about that. Any particular leadership influencers you listen to or pick from in particular?
Like the guru Jocko, right? Like Jocko Willink. Okay. Navy SEAL commander, and just the principles he talks about should be pretty instinctual. But he's written a couple books. I've read all his books and like kind of sold out to that theory.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it's
Good stuff.
It's dangerous. It'll make you dangerous as a leader. So
what's your advice to somebody that's pursuing a career in law enforcement?
I think if I had to give some advice to somebody who's considering the process, considering starting it, or like somebody who's new, and like one of the mantras like I strongly believe in is we make the right decision at the right time for the right reason. And I think like that's something that could carry you through. You're kind of like, oh, it's law enforcement for me. Mm-hmm. Well, what's your reason? Figure out why. Is it because you care about people? Is it because you want to see the community you live in, and that you're going to work in? You want to see it more safe? Do you want to see it better? Mm-hmm. Or is it because you've been bullied and because like you're going to show people, right?
Yeah.
Because if it's that last one, it's probably not for you.
Yeah. I'd agree.
Is it because you want to puff your chest up and you want to show everybody what a tough guy you are? Because that's not the right one either.
No, and it's not going to work out.
No, no. And like the thing about that is like when you're surrounded by people who've made the right decision at the right time for the right reason, they see you, and everybody knows what you're doing. If you're self-serving, if you're you're bloviating yourself, the things you've done and all that kind of stuff, like we all see you. You're not hiding, and it makes you look worse. It doesn't serve any purpose. So I would say like for that person who's considering going into law enforcement, make sure you're seeking that career for the right reason.
Okay.
And it should come from a sense of like caring, and it should come from a sense of like my calling is to love other people well, and that's what I bring to the job. Another person that was real influential in my training, one of the things that he told us after we graduated was, don't let the job become you. Bring a part of you to the job. And I think that like that's been way more successful than the other way around.
Yeah.
Like, to each their own. Like, I'm not knocking the cops who are all about being a cop and that sort of stuff. I just have other stuff that I love and stuff that's that means more in my life than my work. Like, you won't see like the thin blue line or this or that or any of that. Like, I just like my family's more important to me. Like my daughters and my wife, hanging out with them. Like hunting is more important to me. Like I got other stuff I care about, Yeah. It's like my life does not revolve around law enforcement.
Well, that's an important piece you bring up there, though, is having all of that other stuff outside of the job. Because I've seen people who they are what they do 100%, and there's really no leaving it. Like I always grew up like leave it at the door. Like whatever door I'm at, if I'm at my work door and I'm leaving my work door, that's staying there. And then I'm in my personal life. If I'm in my personal life and I'm leaving that door, going into the work spot, that's I keep them balanced. Keep them away from each other. And I think that you're hitting on a key thing there is longevity in the career. You're at 15 years. Yeah. Yeah. Can you believe it? Like,
it goes by in an instant. If all you do, if everything about you revolves around being a cop, then when you do experience tragedy in your career and you go home, what do you have to decompress? What is it that takes that away from you? Or do you just shove that thing down? Because it ends up being like a tea kettle, right? Like if you don't take the tea kettle off of the stove, it's going to overflow. It's like you're going to become overpressurized. You only have so much bandwidth that you can experience before, like, those traumatic things, those crazy things that you experience start to manifest themselves in real weird ways and real unhealthy ways, like addiction, like going off on the wrong people, like the things I have done and seen at work. Like I don't want that for my wife. I don't want that for my girls. And so I have to have those things to keep the demons at bay. You know, if you don't have those things, or if this is everything about your life, like, it will eat you. You know, like it'll just keep taking.
Yeah.
It rarely gives back. You know, so like it's vitally important to have those decompression mechanisms built into your life, and to have those,
so eloquently put.
Oh,
those decompression mechanisms.
Oh,
yeah, that's good. That's a lot different way I've heard, of it being expressed.
Just a dumb guy that remembers big words. That's it.
Yeah, okay, guy. If that's what you want to portray to the listeners. That's fine. But so, I follow you on Instagram and in social media, and I noticed that you often are posting alongside a company or about a company, and it looks like you're wearing one of their shirts. Am I wrong?
No, you're right.
All right, so that's a cool design and shirt, and it's like the logo I see. It's called Spotter Up, right?
Yes.
Okay, tell us about that. Are you affiliated with them, or?
So I am. A lot of what I have to do with them is like, or it has been like writing for them. Okay. Writing things on like some tactics-driven stuff, theory-driven stuff, gear reviews and that kind of thing. But Spotter Up started by a guy named Mike Kurchina. He's a super good guy, and he's been and done a lot of stuff. I got affiliated with him because I have a buddy named AJ that was doing stuff for Mike, and AJ's like, hey, like, you should have a conversation with him. I did, and it, like, I do a little bit of stuff here and there. Obviously, having a couple of girls, I have a 2-year-old and I have a 4-month-old. Which you can relate to now.
Yeah. Congrats on yours. Yeah, I remember when yours. I was like, oh man. Yeah. It's here, and then now I'm baby girl.
Congrats to you, man.
Yeah.
There's a lot of estrogen in that house.
Outnumbered.
Yeah.
Outnumbered. She's like, hey, maybe we try later on, and I'm like, you know what,
dude?
I might be able to get a boy, but
I
don't,
but you might get a girl.
Exactly. Seals the deal. Done.
So again, like, it comes back to that, like, I only have so much bandwidth in my life. And so, like, I have kind of stepped back just a little bit and not doing so much stuff. That being said, I just recorded a video for, like, to review a product, as a part of Spotter. But that's the majority of what I do is like some gear review, that kind of thing. And Mike's got a lot of good stuff out there. He's got a lot of like super high speed guys that he's affiliated with, like special operations guys. And I feel like a nerd in that group. Like I definitely, I don't feel like I belong in that universe. So
you bring a certain piece to that.
Oh, well, and that's the other thing. It's not like, he's not like high speed, low drag with that. It's like one of the founding principles is like the whole man theory. Where it's like you're the rider, you're the warrior, you're the monk, you're like all of these different things that comprise somebody who's well-rounded and like grounded and centered. Yeah. So, and like that's something I've been a big fan of for a long time. Just not being so wrapped around. Oh, like I'm a warrior, I'm a destroyer. Well, like I've got soft days too. Yeah. So
especially with
surrounded by girls.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no, man. So it's good stuff. I'm doing some stuff with a buddy of mine on some hunting and fishing kind of stuff. Like I think we're gonna start doing some of that on like the YouTubes.
Yeah, there you go.
And
creation's awesome in every aspect of it. If you're doing product reviews, if you're doing like just action stuff, or you'll be surprised what people want to watch. And
It's
like, oh, okay.
it's weird. Like my 2-year-old works my phone better than I do. I'm not proud to say like at dinner sometimes it's just hey like please just veg out for a minute. Like I'm coming up for air. But like she'll watch. I saw what she was looking at the other day. It was like an unboxing video for a toy, and I'm like, that's entertainment now. Like, all right, so that's a thing. Like I want to watch you open a toy.
Oh man.
But yeah, no, it's good stuff, man. And there's a podcast there. I'll do that one. I've done it once. I'll do another one eventually.
Cool.
Again, I've
love
got
podcasts.
Yeah, you're an aficionado.
I'm trying. I'm still learning a lot. You know, I'm pretty new. I mean, it's only season 2, but you know, if I can be like, you know, in the realm of the Joe Rogans and stuff one day, I mean, that'd be pretty cool. But got to keep working.
It's good, dude.
But I've got a good team. Like I said, I told you, I've got Nadeda back here with the sound and all that, and the tools. So
it's important. You got a good setup, and like you're a good guy. Like good things happen.
I appreciate that,
folks.
man. I'm glad you think so.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Hey, so we're talking about daughters and being dads. So there's a segment of this show that I really take pride in, and it is dad jokes.
Okay.
So my first question is, do you have any dad jokes that you brought with you today?
I did not.
Do you know any off the top of your head?
Yes.
Spit it.
I'm a little bit concerned about your calendar.
Why?
Because its days are numbered. I bring the rain. I bring the rain.
Okay. That was good. So, okay.
Well, the thing about dad jokes, they're never good. Like they are inherently terrible.
They're known for being terrible. Like that one was terrible.
Yeah.
But it was good because it was so terrible. You know they're okay if she's smiling or laughing. So when you tell one, because sometimes she'll just be like.
So it's like a send and then.
I tell everybody I'm pretty cheesy with this stuff, and I follow Dad Jokes. It's called Dad Jokes Everywhere on Facebook. It's a group. I've been following it for a couple months now because I'm just so cheesy and it's where my life's at. I'm gonna give you one from there that I liked. Why couldn't the toilet paper cross the road?
Why?
It got stuck in a crack.
Mm-hmm. How do you track Will Smith in the snow?
Ow.
You follow the Fresh Prince.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know.
That was good.
I don't know if you're old enough to know what the Fresh Prince is. Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I know. Oh my god. I got little tears in that one. Oh, okay. Why is it so hard to eat a clock?
Why is it so hard to eat a clock?
A clock. There's an L in the word, so if you think I said anything else,
no.
Get your mind out of the gutter. Why is it so hard to eat a clock?
C-lock. Why?
It's time consuming. Okay.
That's good.
Pretty good. You got any more? I got this book here.
You got the book.
Exceptionally Bad Dad Jokes. Okay, so at the end of the season, we were getting towards the end of this thing. I think there's a couple little gems left in here. Unless you want to pull one up on your phone, you're always welcome to do that. I think we're going to make the transition into phone dad jokes.
Are we?
Yeah, at some point, because as cool as the book is, I mean, I'll always have a book here in case someone's like, yeah, I want something out of the book. I'll have it here for them. So, yeah, here. Give it a shot. See if you can find anything in there.
What did the ocean say to the beach?
We've heard this one before.
Have you?
Yes, it waved. Yeah.
Damn it.
Sorry, man. I think that's I think that's the third appearance of that joke. I think that's one of the I think that's probably the most popular joke that we've heard. I always enjoy seeing people read this book.
okay, let me put this one together.
Okay.
I had ACL reconstruction 12 weeks ago, and my physical therapist has a joke of the week, and there's like one. What do you call a doctor who only operates on men's throats?
No idea.
A gynecologist.
Oh my gosh. Gynecologist.
6 weeks I was with her. A new joke every week, and that's the one that stuck.
Oh, that was good. See, I'm on this dad group, and that one you just told about the ocean is on here.
Oh.
Like, I got to message that person, let them know that they could probably take that one down because.
You know where fruits go on vacation?
Where what?
Where a fruit goes on vacation?
Oh, no.
Paris.
Those are good. Those are good. I think you're one of the top dad joke tellers that has been here.
Solid. I do my best.
Yeah.
It's like when you have one, like you're in, like you're like in, like you're playing pickup games. When you have one kid in the dad joke realm, like you have a kid, you're playing pickup. You don't really start to get into like AA dad jokes until you have two, and when you go pro when you have a third kid. That's what I hear.
Yeah.
Like Sam Chavez, who's like, that guy needs a TV. He's got too many kids. But like his dad joke game is strong.
Yeah. Yeah. As it should be. Yeah. My father-in-law is always texting dad jokes to. Like, he has like a group text with his like daughters, and he's always just throwing stuff out. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think texting them is another level. I'm not there.
Yeah.
I'm not there.
So how do people connect with Spotter Up and you with like the reviews and stuff you're doing with the gear and whatnot? How do they connect?
So if you go to Spotter Up's website, spotterup.com, you can look at the different riders, and I'm Bill Farmer still.
Okay.
So
You haven't changed your name yet?
No, same guy. You can follow him on Instagram. It's at Spotter Up. There's a couple different branches that he's got of ats. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's the right way to say that. I'm not too hip with it. We didn't have ats on MySpace, so. And then on Instagram, I'm at Cop Farmer.
Okay.
And then just Bill Farmer on YouTube.
Right on. All right. Well, make sure to connect with him. Like you heard, he's got so much knowledge in regards to the things that he's doing, the program that he's put together, and I really encourage you to look into his reviews on products and Spotter Up as well. Bill, thank you so much for being here today. It was a pleasure. Feels good to be back. I just got out of a little bit of a hiatus. You know, I just had my baby girl. She's gonna be a month old on Sunday. Oof. So yeah, cool, I ran into a guy at Costco, buddy of mine I went to school with. And the way he put it just was so funny, because he's got 4 kids, and he's like, oh hey, yeah, how's it going? How old is she? And we're like, oh yeah. At that time she was just 3 weeks. He's like, oh, you're in the dark ages. That's what he called it. And he's like, you know, where you just don't sleep much, and it's just constant, bathroom and feeding and
big blur.
Yeah, he's like, oh yeah, the dark ages. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's
cool,
that's how he put it. So, but yeah, it feels good to be back. I'm glad to have you as the first guest of season 2, episode 1 of the Now You Know podcast. Hopefully the listeners, hopefully you got something out of this. I sure did. If you want to be part of the show, I encourage you to reach out to us. Just contact at ltdmedia.net is how you can email us. We have Instagram. We have Facebook. Make sure to follow us and subscribe. And also, if you feel like being really helpful for the program and getting us to the next level, we do have a donate button that you can provide us with funds. The funds are used to bring on guests that are going to come from out of state or need some lodging. And at some point we will be giving back to the community, as we really love being part of the community and serving the community. Thanks again. And we look forward to providing you with another episode soon here. Thanks.
Hi, this is Tammy with Copper Creek Cookies. We've been baking smiles for over 15 years. We can print anything on our individually wrapped logo cookies. What a great way to market your business on our sweet, awesome treats. For more info, check out coppercreekcookies.net.